Recently, a New York Times contributor, Christina Greer, had written an opinion piece saying that Kamala Harris is being set up to fail by President Joe Biden. And to be quite honest with you all, while I have my own critiques toward Kamala Harris, certainly, I do think that choosing her to deal with an incredibly difficult issue at the border, to deal with immigration, like just kind of like passing the buck to the vice president is, yeah, she's gonna fail at it because she can't unilaterally fix that problem. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like Biden was just like, Kamala, deal with it. And she's done awful, like telling Guatemalans if they're seeking asylum in the United States or thinking about seeking asylum, don't come, don't come. Now, no one forced her to say that. That was awful. But it is interesting that this is the task that the Biden administration has given her.
So you feel a little bit bad for it?
I think that, yeah, I do feel a little bad for her because, again, she can't unilaterally fix this, and she's been tasked with dealing with it, and only negative commentary follows, regardless of what she does. I mean, and she did bungle it. I think that her messaging is awful, and she could have been a lot better in what she said during that speech to Guatemalans. But nonetheless, this is what Greer argues. She says, Harris at this point can't seem to win for trying. She is a historic yet inexperienced vice president who is taking on work that can easily backfire as so many people sit in judgment, with critics snipping, especially right-wing commentators, and allies spinning, like with official statements about success. All right, now I'm gonna fast forward and go to Ezra Klein's tweet on this because that's what's relevant here. Ezra Klein says, this seems right. Kamala Harris will probably be the Democratic nominee in 24 or 28. Biden's team should be giving her portfolios that make it likelier she'll win. Instead, they're giving her impossible problems that will likely become liabilities. So while I think that the original opinion piece in the New York Times touches on something that's valid, right? I might not agree with everything that's written in it, but there's a point there that I think is valid. Ezra Klein coming in and saying like, yo, give Kamala Harris some easy tasks because she's likely to run in the future. If I were in Kamala Harris's position, I would not want to read that. Like, I would be insulted by that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, it's like kind of condescending.
100%.
Like the point of a presidency is to lob some alley-oops to your vice president.
So, yeah.
No, but and while there have been a variety of things that Ezra Klein has said that throughout a few years I've agreed with or whatever, like it does reflect. It reflects sort of a philosophy, whether and certainly not intentional, of don't worry about now. It's all about later. We're obviously not going to get anything done now, but later maybe we should be thinking about 24 or 28. We're not gonna make it to 28. It's on fire right now. Like, do something right now. Now, whether that means that they're being fair to her or whatever is a different question, but it is not the job of a president to make it easy for them later. The vice president is already seen too much as just a stepping stone to the presidency. Let's not also make the presidency a stepping stone to other people's presidencies. That's like a level too stupid, I think, even for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
And I understand he would say, well, it's just pragmatic. I'm not saying we shouldn't actually try to solve these problems, but they're not right now. They're not really. And I think that you make a fair point that like she can't unilaterally fix it because there's not a ton she can do, although
that's right. Exactly.
Like there is she can theoretically be relatively in charge of executive orders and executive actions. Like if he gives her sort of carte blanche, says you tell me what you need and I'll make sure that it happens. Otherwise, what is the point of a vice president? Yep. Historically, like any of them, other than Dick Cheney. He wanted to get a lot of people killed, he accomplished it, great success to him, he's amazing or whatever. But what's the point of any of it? Like they all just see it as a next stop to the presidency, which historically it isn't even really anyway, except for Biden. I think we should start to be able to have higher expectations for them. And if they fail in the job, it's a job they signed up for. They lobbied. I'm sure whether it's her or if it was Buttigieg or whoever, they were all hardcore trying to become vice president. Give them something tough. And that way, if they fail, as long as they're given some fighting chance in terms of access to executive orders or whatever, then if they fail, good. Let's not have them as president then.
Honestly, I think that a better use of Kamala Harris's time, and the reason why she's not being, I guess, utilized in this way by the Biden administration is I don't think the Biden administration wants this. But instead of like playing patty cakes with Republicans in the Senate, get the vice president to play hardball in these negotiations, not with Republicans. They're not gonna work with us no matter what, unless we're willing to privatize public infrastructure. That's when they'll be willing to work with us, and that's what happened with this bipartisan deal, right? But get her to campaign in favor of the infrastructure bill in Arizona and in West Virginia. Like, I actually think that she would do a great job on that, right? So there actually are successful ways to utilize the vice president, especially when it comes to these pressure campaigns to get these corporatist Democrats on board for certain policies that are in Biden's agenda. But the question is, does Biden really want that? It doesn't seem like he really wants that. No. So it's easy to just kind of like brush Kamala Harris aside and be like, deal with immigration.
Yeah.
And she failed miserably in dealing with it because, again, unilaterally she can't do anything. But more importantly, her messaging was awful. Like and no one forced her to message that way. But my point is, even if she said all the right things, nothing is gonna change with our immigration policies with the vice president. So that's why I do agree to some extent that she was set up for failure. I don't know if it was
I might be
intentional,
biased by the fact that I don't particularly care.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, look, if he was actually okay with her going out and being his attack dog or whatever, doing speeches against both Republicans and Democrats, that I think would be a great use of her time. Whether, I don't know if she wants to do it. It seems pretty clear that he doesn't want her to do it. So we're left in a position where, aside from that speech, I don't really know what she's been doing for almost 6 months.
Yeah. I
honestly don't know. I don't watch CNN and MSNBC generally. Maybe she's doing stuff and they're covering it. I don't know, but I don't think that you have to get through too many filters to reach me news-wise, and I'm not being reached. So I don't know. I hope she has something more exciting planned for the second part of this first term, because otherwise, I know that this is supposed to be building her up for her run. Is it? In what way? And not just through failures that are unfair or whatever. What is she trying to do?
I don't know.
And look, by the way, if you think I'm being unfair to her, I feel almost exactly the same about Joe Biden, by the way. I feel like it's a very similar thing. Both of them are incredibly ambitious politicians who just largely just want to like hide in the shadows.
Totally,
It seems like a weird way to spend your time.
Branko Marcetic wrote a great book, it's a long biography on Joe Biden. We interviewed him for Weekends, the show that I do with Jacobin with Nando Vila. Definitely read that book and listen to that interview that we did last week, because it gives you a little bit of who Biden is, like the historical context of Biden's political career. And it helps you understand why he's positioning things the way he positions things. But with that said, we also want to know what you think. We have a poll on this story, so go to tyt.com/polls if you want to participate. And the question is this: is President Joe Biden setting Vice President Kamala Harris up for failure? Yes or no? Really curious to see how this poll turns out. tyt.com/polls to participate.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.